Teams are tied. Lead lost.
Look at too close. Gotta find another way.
Incoming quad. Teams are tied. Lead lost.
The first-person shooter genre has explored some pretty weird and wonderful avenues over the past several years, but nothing really compares to the massive leaps in tech and design the genre pushed during the early 2000s. With the rising popularity of online competition, industry legends id and rising FPS star Epic Games began developing artificial intelligences unlike anything seen before. Instead of simply having enemies punch harder, spam specials, or hit scan, id and Epic decided to give their enemies a new type of intelligence, one mimicking that of a human player. Unreal Tournament and Quake 3 Arena were multiplayer-focused arena combat shooters. While the multiplayer-only label carries a bit of negativity nowadays, back then Epic and id got away with it for one key reason: offline play. Highly intelligent and scalable bots brought human-level competition offline. It's no wonder these games are still being played today, with vets able to find competitive online lobbies, and new players able to adjust the competition to their liking. Hell, even the servers for the Dreamcast version of Quake 3 have been restored. Clearly, the mileage from these bot shooters of yesteryear is quite long. Strangely, shooters took something of a step back in the years after, AI somewhat stunting or reverting back to basic scripts or line-of-sight attack instructions. That's not to say shooters got worse, although they did, but it was confusing to see arena shooters disappear along with the AI powering them. Appetites and audiences changed. Now, some 2 decades after their initial release, both the Unreal Tournament and Quake Arena brands have returned to reclaim the throne of their subgenre, dusty as that throne may be. While the original titles approached the genre with their own unique builds and perks, they also shared quite a bit in concept. Unreal Tournament, sometimes called Unreal Tournament 4, and Quake Champions can only loosely be compared by genre, as the two have approached development from vastly different angles. Whatever your personal preference of the originals, it's probably fair to say Epic and id's newest arena shooter titles are lacking, failing both to capture the attention of new players and rekindle the interest of old ones. Is the clammy and cool embrace of these new games the result of design choices, or are they simply relics of the past, out of place and time? First announced in 2014, Unreal Tournament was touted as a free game. Not free to play, stymieing progression via paywall or inconceivable time commitment, but rather just that, free. Unreal Tournament would be a full game, free to download. The catch? It was to be a joint effort by the community and Epic. After the foundations had been built, Unreal Tournament launched a public pre-alpha. Here players could jump in and start playing, giving Epic feedback and producing content. The team behind Unreal Tournament was small, but the game was meant to be a work in progress. Unreal Tournament wasn't a brand new IP, so the developers had a pretty good reference as to how the game should work. Epic's methodology seemed sound enough, a slow but accurate collaboration between the developers, players, and mod community. Unfortunately, slow ended up being the key term here, and 5 years out, Unreal Tournament is still in pre-alpha. The map count is small, with an even smaller percentage of these maps fully textured. Contemporary inclusions like character customization are here, though lack the breadth and variety of a full game. While player feedback and testing have been instrumental in building the parts of the game which are complete, Unreal Tournament has yet to become the game it promised to be. The handful of maps available are varied and fun, though they lack the shine needed to attract new and curious players. While the competitive scene may not mind playing in stark marble-white arenas, most casual players will find themselves gravitating to the handful of finished maps more than the untextured ones. Well, wall runs and dashes have always been a part of the game. Unreal Tournament's slide mechanic gives players a few new dance steps, paired with the greater emphasis on parkouring your way through the maps via wall jumping. Unreal Tournament's greatest differentiator and evolution is the intertwining of speed, dynamism, and map layout. Unreal Tournament 4 remains relatively close to the original game in terms of core content. Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, Duo Blitz, and Capture the Flag, with Instagib, are here. A new arcade mode also brings trials to the mix, should players want to stay offline. The larger scale game modes included in 2K4 and 3 are not yet available, though with community support it was somewhat implied they certainly could be at some point. Most of the weapons have returned, albeit with some additions and changes like the new grenade launcher and nerfed plasma rifle. Some of the bigger weapons from Assault and Onslaught modes in past titles are absent, seeing as large map vehicular modes are not in the current build. The lightning gun is also MIA, though no one seems to miss it too much. Past that, the Enforcer, still dual-wieldable, shock rifle, impact hammer, rocket launcher, flat cannon, sniper rifle, minigun, redeemer, and translocator are all here, and work more or less as you remember them. While it may be unfinished and a bit starved for content, what Epic and the community have built so far is incredible. Graphically and mechanically, it's no stretch to call this the best Unreal Tournament game. Content-wise, the game obviously has a ways to go, maps and modes badly needing completion and expansion. Thankfully, the game has full bot support for both on and offline play, scalable through several different difficulties. This, even with the lack of content, makes the game feel like more than a pre-alpha. For the longtime fan who doesn't mind the shortened roster, or the competitive gamer more concerned with shooting mechanics than textured environments, Unreal Tournament has a lot to offer. So, while it may not be as grand as 2K4 or 3, the skeleton of an Unreal Tournament game is here. It's a functional and well-built skeleton with the promise of meat to be added at a later date. Unfortunately, skeletons aren't alive. With dead YouTube and Twitch channels, radio silence on the website blog, and no real updates to speak of since July 2018, things are not looking good for Unreal Tournament. With the expansion of their launcher into a full store, coupled with the untamable success of Fortnite, Epic is still pushing full steam ahead. Sadly, it seems like Unreal Tournament may not have a ticket to ride. In 2018, Epic CEO Tim Sweeney stated Unreal Tournament was no longer in active development. Unreal Tournament was meant to fill a niche left open in the gaming market, a return to a fully skill-based Twitch FPS. Smartly, Epic knew it couldn't be a full game, opting for the route they chose. Conundrum is, did Epic's slow and unenthusiastic support of the title kill it, or did the lack of player engagement? Whereas Epic opted to more or less copy and paste its bot shooter formula into the modern Unreal Engine, it went for more of a re-evaluation of its 1999 hit. An early build of Quake Champions was released for play in the summer of 2017, and the game has been steadily updated since, switching from a paid early access title to a free one. Even in its current state, Quake Champions feels far closer to completion than Unreal Tournament. It has certainly been more aggressive about the game's development when compared to their counterparts over at Epic, starting with a version which was at least recognizable as a game and not just a concept. Quake Champions is, like Quake 3 before it, an arena-style deathmatch shooter. CTF, TDM, DM are all here. Arcade mode adds modified play modes like Hot Rockets and Instagive, and custom 1v1 and 2v2 matches are available for direct and ranked play. Champions looks and feels a lot like an expanded Quake 3, though with so many years separating the two, seeing the bizarre gothic tech amalgamations in a modern game engine are all the more delightful and shocking. You'll blow opponents apart with shotguns, jolt them with a lightning gun, and sacrifice your own well-being with the occasional rocket jump to get a better vantage point. It's fast, heavy, and precise, just like you remember. Still a collection of id alum and Quake vs. monstrosities, Quake Champions' character roster has been slimmed down, intentionally, from Arena. Quake Champions is a game about just that, champions. Capitalizing on the MOBA and hero shooter craze, Quake Champions aims to meld the Twitch action fans love with the character stats, XP, and superpowers they don't. While definitely more ambitious, complete, and perhaps even the more played title, Quake Champions has garnered criticisms different from those thrown at Unreal Tournament. It's important to note that both Quake 3 and Unreal Tournament, and Champions, games had incorporated stats and behavioral templates for characters before, so it's not to say the character's specific perks and powers ruined Quake Champions, nor that this is even a new idea. However, whereas Unreal Tournament decided to ditch character-specific traits, making the choice all but aesthetic, Quake Champions has the uncomfortable task of constantly nerfing or adjusting perks to make sure that the inflated differences still make for even competition. Champions features bot competition, though in a more reserved capacity than Unreal Tournament. Players can team up against bots in TDM, though this still requires additional human players. There is no single-player campaign in the current build. A shame, as Quake 3's single-player ladder was a great way to practice the game. Champions map roster is relatively small, however it's notable that the maps were all textured and finished for release. And they all play brilliantly, spiraling as high as they stretch horizontally, making for some mind-bending firefights. Champions' arsenal is comprised of weapons with a strangeness and variety seldom seen in gaming nowadays, encouraging combinations and change-ups unlike any of its contemporaries. It's puzzling. On the surface, Champions is still Quake. A few minutes with the game will make any vet or Twitch shooter enthusiast grin, hopping about the levels with the blinding speed and pinpoint accuracy demanded by the shooters of yesteryear. This steep difficulty curve separates it from most of its hero shooter contemporaries in the best ways. However, the hero aspect does play a role, as much as players may try to ignore it. As it stands, no one is really sure who Quake Champions was made for, but it seems committed. Perhaps the Twitch arena shooter is beyond saving. The niche will always exist, but it may just be too much of a stretch for AAA companies to build a modern bot shooter. However, if that is the case, why did id and Epic go about it so half-assed? To be fair, id is trying something different. Though their small and almost insignificant bot mode is disappointing, they haven't hid that they are trying to take the game in a new direction. Unreal Tournament's expansive bot mode is a wonderful way to experience the game, though sadly it is quickly becoming the only way to play. One wonders why they didn't put this same enthusiasm on level, marketplace, and mode development. Embracing the community was a great idea, but with such little power behind development on Epic's end, it became a bit discouraging for those looking to play and contribute, seeing as Epic hardly seemed to value their own product. Where do the games go from here? Unreal Tournament still has a small but active competitive scene. Untextured levels and scant character selection haven't dissuaded the hardcore shooter audience from embracing the masterful, albeit unfinished, gameplay. Unreal Tournament's legacy will live on. id seems committed to Quake Champions, and the game does draw an audience, even if disappointingly less than other modern competitive shooters. Problem is, id seems committed to the hero model, showing no hint of scrapping it or listening to what the fans are saying. Luckily, they also seem committed to rebalancing the game and adding new content, so the game may improve with a full release, should it survive that long. Unreal Tournament is a good game bursting with potential. Quake Champions fixed what wasn't broke, but it cannot be denied it still stands apart from most other modern shooters, bravely re-embracing a style of gameplay lost to the turn of the millennium. Its few concessions to modern sensibilities cannot be ignored, but so too one cannot help but think of how good the game could be with just a few minor tweaks. It seems marketing decisions got in the way of both games. Disappointing, but still understandable. The fate of the genre remains in limbo, with both founding members unable to resurrect interest. Perhaps a new contender could revitalize the niche, or perhaps we will one day see these two titles finished. Only time will tell.